He didn't get picked?
No.
And here's what I wonder. Here's what I wonder.
Oh, I felt bad for him.
Oh, he's the poster child.
And his girlfriend.
You know what, though? Once upon a time, Aaron Rodgers sat in that seat.
Yeah.
Listen.
And was humiliated. Waiting.
That happens every year.
Yeah, there's always somebody.
There's always
But you know
somebody.
what? Rarely does it happen where they're not a first rounder.
Yeah.
The deal is they usually bring guys in that are rock solid first round picks, so we don't have to have that embarrassment. Now, here's my question. Did he come up with 2 draft day suits? Because draft day now became draft days. He can't rock that same gear tomorrow.
I'm sure his agent got him together.
I hope he's out shopping right now. I don't know what kind of Kansas City men's stores there are.
Like, shout out to Darren to get them together. Hey,
Man,
go holler at Darren.
Yeah, Darren will hook him up.
Man, as long as that went on last night, I felt bad for him.
I did too. It's so awkward.
He had to sit there. I think there was his mom there, then his girlfriend was there.
At one point, it looked like he had 2 different girlfriends.
And I was like,
once he had a blonde,
That's his
then he
sister,
had,
man. It's his sister.
Oh, it was his sister. Okay.
So there was 2
All right.
smoke shows.
Well, they were just a lot. They were really chummy. I mean, brothers and sisters can be chummy, I suppose.
What's going on here? And I was like,
wow.
It was his girl and his sister.
All right.
And then I looked at it and I looked at the draft positions and I could see that, man, the chance of him.
Well, once you got to 26, you're like, well, none of the last 6 teams need a quarterback.
Right.
27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 5 teams. They didn't need quarterbacks.
That's the downside to going to the event, right?
Right.
Because you don't know how it's going to shake out, right? And so
pull a Joe Thomas and go fishing.
He's sitting there, and now he's going to go early in one of these early picks in the second round.
You'd think he'd be off the board really early today.
Really quick, but I mean, it is.
I think the Rams are going to take him.
It is what it is, right? Just what it is.
Yeah,
what it is.
that would be a nice little landing spot.
I mean, McVay has had a great deal of success working with young quarterbacks. I think he's probably going to like this kid.
He fell into the trap. It wasn't a trap. The media is going to get one of y'all. The media is going to get one of y'all quarterbacks because they tried to get C.J. Stroud. When they did that thing about that little, he doesn't know. There's a test that some people take.
S2 test?
Yeah.
So
First of all, that those numbers leak, shame on whoever did that.
So let's get to this because I'm waiting for the Players Association and then the agent. Guess what? We're not taking them tests no more.
I wouldn't either.
Because you can't keep your mouth shut.
They did that with the Wonderlic. Remember the Wonderlic test started leaking, and they said, you know what, we're not doing these anymore.
Because you can't keep your mouth shut, right? You're not a trustworthy partner.
Right.
So no, we're not taking any more tests.
And you're
gonna see me. You're gonna get it off film.
They say,
or a game live. That's what you're gonna get.
Here's what may have happened. Okay, I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm just going to give you a scenario. Yeah. I am by no means insinuating that the Colts leaked this, okay? I'm not, because I don't have any information. Nobody does. But let's just say you're the Colts at 4, and you know you need a quarterback.
Right.
And you have decided that we love C.J. Stroud. We love this kid.
Right.
But the Texans might take him too because they need a quarterback.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So you can see the advantage. We're talking about fortunes of NFL teams moving forward. There are hundreds of millions of dollars at stake
Yes,
here.
and hundreds of jobs.
So it would be beneficial to someone in the Colts organization to whisper in a reporter's ear, we're not going Stroud. He got an 18 on the S2.
But Jay,
then it's out there.
But to whose expense? At whose expense?
Well, at what they were thinking, it would be if in that scenario, the Texans' expense and C.J. Stroud's expense. But now, what I love about it was, let's just say that is what happened. And again, I'm just making that up. That's just a hypothetical. It could have been any team that was drafting 5, 6, 7. They wanted Stroud. They wanted him to slip. It's in their best interest that no one take him. So they put that out there. And you know what that does? That puts incredible pressure on the team that selects him. Because the fan base 3 years from now, if C.J. Stroud doesn't work out, we knew this kid was slow at processing. Why did you take him?
And here's the thing, right? And so this is what. So if I'm a player, I'm not taking your freaking test no more, right?
I agree with that.
That's over. And then
I'll run, I'll jump, I'll throw, I'll do all of that.
But what I'm disappointed in people in our industry here, right? Do you see the pundits, the know-it-alls? They all jumped on that bandwagon so fast.
Yeah, they did.
And talking about, I mean, you had real legit people jumping in like, oh, no, I don't
First of all, I was disappointed at the media outlets that ran the story.
He's falling. He's not even going to get 11. He's not going to even 11. He's going to go further than 11. I mean, these are legitimate people.
Sure. I can't do it.
And I'm like, what?
I can't do it.
And I said, Mikey, go back to that graphic that the Texans just tweeted out yesterday. Show them that graphic, right? Because this is telling. It was always him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? in caps, it was always him, right? So that tell you it wasn't us.
Like,
Sure.
It was somebody else. But see, it was at C.J. Stroud's expense.
Now Will Levis, they kind of got him too.
Got him on a
Because he posted a picture saying, look. I think he's trying to big up like his trainer and the people he worked with in the off season. You know that time period before the last bowls and that I would say about a 1 to 2 month period where you're trying to get ready for the combine.
February and March.
Yeah. All the kids, everybody goes to these places. They take cameras with them. They'll do the in-depth and they'll show you what they're eating, what they're doing, some of the workouts or whatever. He showed like, hey, this was me like before I went. Look how great I look now, fellas. Look how good this is.
Well,
so he takes a picture, says I lost a body weight, ready to go.
Yeah.
And then the media says, look how vain he is.
Yeah.
He isn't a quarterback. That was a low key. He's bragging on himself, and I don't want my quarterback to be jacked like that anyway. You know what? I don't know if this kid's gonna be it. I'm like, all he did is show us.
Here's the thing. In the last 2 weeks that came out with C.J. Stroud, he scored really, really low. Now, we'll give you a score on the S2. It's 18. Right?
But you know what? You heard the story that came out earlier this week. The guy who developed and administers the test came out and said, hey, not for nothing, some of these numbers that have been reported in the media are wrong.
All right.
And he said, I'm not saying C.J. Stroud's is wrong, but I am saying that there was a player that showed up at 11 o'clock after a long travel day and missed flights, and he was hungry and he was tired and he didn't want to take the test, and they made him take it anyhow, and he tested very low. It made it seem like he was talking about C.J. Stroud.
Right.
But he can't put any names to scores.
Right.
He knows that. But after reading that, and then subsequently, this player took the test again and did very well.
Hey, while we're talking about this S2 cognitive test, just in case anyone doesn't know exactly what that is, can I explain what it is real
absolutely.
quick?
Go ahead.
This
It's the new
explanation,
Wonderlic.
this explanation is brought to us by the USFL. Family fun professional football is back. Check them out in Canton. They have a home game this weekend. Tickets for about $10. Definitely worth your time as I enter this ad read because Anthony's not here. The S2 cognitive test is not like the Wonderlic. The Wonderlic was like an IQ test. The S2 cognitive test is supposed to evaluate how quickly you can process information.
Right.
It's not just football. It is for all sports. They use it for baseball. For an example, they'll show 6 shapes on a screen, and you have to recognize and label the one that's not the same. So there'll be 5 circles and a triangle. How quickly can you do that?
Right.
They'll have 15 things come across the screen at once, all different colors. How many red or how many blue, for example? So it's those kind of questions that they're looking at to see how quickly you can process information. It has nothing to do with
Wonderlic was
actual
more an IQ
football.
test, really.
Wonderlic was IQ.
Yeah.
That is the premise of this test, and they use it for all sports.
And Bryce Young, by the way, scored a 90.
Let me tell you
Yeah.
why it's stupid, right? Because, okay, so your mental capacity, you're able to process the stuff mentally, right? That don't mean you have the physical skill set.
Still got to pull the trigger
You
and
still
make the
got to
play.
pull the trigger here,
Yeah,
right?
I know,
So
exactly.
the two go together.
I'll go find you a guy in the street that can get 100 on that test, but he can't throw a ball 15 yards.
Let me tell you how they try to sink C.J. Stroud the last week. The S2 test score.
That was the big
Then they said, well, you know, his coachability. That freaked out. Oh, his coach. I said, you're a coaching problem now. And then they went even further and was like this. Well, he didn't go to the Manning camp.
Yeah.
I said the Manning camp is the end all to be all.
And if you don't go, and by the way, he had a very good reason for not going, and they made it sound like he didn't even reply to the invitation.
Right. He
All
told
of
him
that
he couldn't
stuff
go.
was proven wrong. And so what if he decides he can't go because he's got something else that's more pressing and further his agenda? Why do we care that we're furthering the Manning camp agenda? Like. With this nonsense that you have to go to this camp to be anointed as a first-round draft pick. No.
This is
You
a
know
mess.
what it is, Jay. You know the Good Old Boys Network. They said, "Listen, you got to come kiss the ring. Then we'll give you can be entered in." And then the same people that do that will be the same people that'll be covering the games. And so if you do bad, they'll say, "Give him a shot."
Well, here.
They say, "Do him bad. We like him. He's a good kid."
Well, he didn't do it, and he got picked 2nd overall, so it doesn't have to be.
It's
not a prerequisite.
But who got it swept up in it now is so Will Levis think he's moving up, right?
Oh yeah,
I'm great. I'm moving up.
There were drafts I saw mocks that had him going number 3.
He was the Vegas favorite to be the number 2 pick yesterday, which, real quick, to show you how dumb all these rumors are, a Reddit rumor is what swung the Vegas odds.
Yep.
Someone on Reddit said Levis had told them that the Texans had promised him the number 2 pick. He went from like plus 4,000 odds to minus 150 to be the second pick. And then it turns out he obviously
it was his cousin who said it.
His cousin, excuse me.
His cousin
well,
said
here's
it.
the thing too with drafting. You can tell a general manager is lying before the draft if his lips are moving. If his lips are moving, he's lying. Because nobody, unless you own the first pick, there is absolutely no benefit. In fact, you put yourself at a disadvantage if you come out and say who you're going to take.
Well,
if you're anything but the first pick.
I'm gonna slightly disagree with that to the point. You're right. Some people do it. When I got drafted in '86.
Well, different time.
When I got drafted in '86, so the Pistons were just coming off winning they're just with Isaiah and them, they were just putting the team together, right?
The Celtics won in '86.
So in '86, when I got drafted, Jack McCloskey, who was the general manager who put the architect putting the Pistons together, had come out in Detroit and said, we're taking Brad Sellers at number 11, right? And he said, you can book it. It was so much of a thing, Jay, that I didn't go to New York for the draft. I stayed in Warrensville at my parents' house because you could only bring a couple people. And I was like, there's been too many people on this ride with me, right? So I'm going to sit there like you see those players sitting at home. That's why they're sitting at those houses, right? Because they want more people here, right? And so Detroit media sends 2 trucks, trucks with the satellite trucks to my house in Cleveland, and they're broadcasting from my driveway in Warrensville because they expect the Pistons to take me at 11. Well, I didn't get a call. They were ready to go. McCloskey had called me in the morning and said, we're going ready to go. We're taking you at 11. And then I got a call from the Bulls at maybe probably an hour before the draft and said, listen, you stay by your phone because we think we coming your way.
And they picked.
They picked 9.
9.
So they got me at 9.
So the Pistons got undercut.
They got undercut.
Okay, so the lesson
that's
in
how
that
it could
is,
work back.
Yes,
it could.
That was in the age of information wasn't at everybody's fingertips like it is now.
Right.
So they thought that they could be coy and make plans to take you at 11.
Right.
Well, someone caught wind of it, and someone else liked you too. Mm-hmm. And they also, that was a interesting move because it kept them away from a rival.
Right. Right.
So it makes sense for Chicago to swoop in, particularly that they liked you. It's addition by subtraction.
Yep.
Not only do they get you, but Detroit doesn't.
Right.
And so now it's such a different time now. We're in the information age now. I've had general managers tell me flat out, I don't consider it lying. It's gamesmanship. Right. That's what they call it. We're not lying. But the fact of the matter is the media still takes the bait. Yeah. Right. They still run on it. Hell, Vegas still takes the bait.
This thing was like wildfire.
You think Vegas would know better than that?
It was wildfire. That's why I was laughing. A friend of mine, we were laughing last night. She was like, I guess he really fell far.
Yeah.
Because, we're Ohio State folks. She was like, I guess he really fell far. Yeah, right. He fell from 1 to 2.
Well, Will Levis's problem is with Richardson. Anthony Richardson took your spot. C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young was always going to be there.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson was the person we didn't even think was coming out. He wouldn't even. Then when he came out, we was like, oh, we don't know if he was going to go. And then he proceeded to test better than any quarterback who's ever tested in his life. He ran a 4.43. He has a 40-inch vertical. His broad jump is like 10.6. It was just naming all this stuff he has more than, and he has a crazy, ridiculous arm.
Did you hear the comments they were making about Will Levis? This is where you get down to nigger when he's sliding, right? And these were these were analysts that played the game, right? Knew the game. They were like, he's mechanical. He had times when he disappeared. They say, well, he had a bad line. I say, yeah, but some other things here didn't quite add up, right? So no matter what the other guys are saying, that this something here doesn't add up here, and that's why the tumble comes, right? Because people are passing you. There's 30 teams, Jay. They were like,
He gave him that Brady Quinn. That Brady Quinn. Yeah. And back then, they was only falling. He fell to the 20s, right? Or 19 or something.
Yeah, and that was considered a tumble.
Yeah, it was going crazy.
What I felt bad for, because nobody had prepped that kid, right?
Yeah.
The downside of doing this, you could be embarrassed here, right? And so now your game is, use that as fuel.
Sure.
To motivate you to come
Well,
forward.
all through ESPN's coverage of the draft, Mel Kiper told the story of Boomer Esiason.
Yeah, you're going to
And
three
Boomer was supposed to be a number 1 pick.
Yeah.
And the Bengals had 3 first-round picks that year. 3. And they didn't take him. They took him in the second, and he slipped all the way to the second. And Boomer said, look, Will Levis can still have a terrific career. It doesn't matter where you're drafted.
Right.
None of that matters
Right.
once the whistle blows. None of that. And if anything, this can be a benefit to the young man if it motivates him in the right way.
It only affects the money in the first round.
It does affect the money.
Does.
It does.
McNuggets, what you got, bro?
One thing, and then we're going to pivot to what the Browns are going to do tonight.
Yeah.
But, Will Levis was one of 3 players who was invited to the green room and not drafted, by the way. There were 2 others who just didn't get the recognition.
But
Everybody focused in on the
But
quarterback.
they only kept showing Will Levis.
I know, I'm just saying he was the only one. Real quick, who was the winner of the first round of the draft? I know it's impossible. We won't know
the
these
Eagles.
guys. Was it the Eagles?
I thought it was the Eagles.
You mean Georgia East?
My God.
Georgia North.
Listen, this is
East. They're on the East Coast.
This is
The
unbelievable.
Eagles both are on the East Coast.
Who on the East Coast?
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying Georgia East.
Georgia East.
Yeah,
Georgia's
Georgia
in the
meaning
South.
Georgia is in the South, but now
Okay,
the-
Georgia.
the
We're
Georgia
saying the
Northeast.
same thing.
They got that,
We're
like-
saying the same thing.
they've got 4 players off that 2021 Georgia defense.
Their D-line is crazy.
Dude,
That's crazy.
like,
Their D-line is crazy.
you know what they did? They and teams. This is an unorthodox style. But once they did it, and I started looking at who they
It made a lot of sense.
it makes perfect
It made
sense.
a lot of sense.
They got a guy who, like Warren Sapp, remember Warren tested
Yep.
positive for marijuana,
Yep.
slipped all the way down, I think, to, I don't know where he slipped, number 9 or wherever
Yeah.
it was. He was supposed
Carter
to
went 9.
No.
way up.
No.
Where did Warren Sapp go?
He went 17, I believe. He was 17 or 19.
He slipped and slipped far, and they made the comparison last night.
Yeah, I heard him.
Especially Booger McFarland, who came a few years after Warren in Tampa and knew that situation. He went 12?
Jalen Carter.
Okay,
right.
so he slipped at 12, and a lot of folks said he was the best player in that draft. Well, he ended up being a Hall of Famer. They're saying that Philadelphia basically did the same thing with Carter.
Because
They let a guy slip that low, and he fell right
you
into
got
their
4
lap.
defensive players, right? And as the Philly guys age out and contract out, create some opening. I don't have to know this guy. I didn't line up with this guy for 4 years.
That's
I know
exactly right.
exactly how to play off of him, right? And there's some strength in it. The guys I played with in the pros, right? My best ones were when I had a teammate that I played in college with, right?
Really?
That I knew.
Yeah.
Right? Because I didn't have to learn him.
No learning curve.
He knew exactly what I wanted, right? And I knew exactly how to do him, right? And so that's why when you play with him, like, I know where to feed him the ball. I know where to get it to him. They know where to come back to me at. It's the learning curve that is going away. Because sometimes when you learn something, it takes a while to learn how to play with somebody.
Sure, it does, especially on defense. And it was one of those picks that once it happened, when they first said his name, I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
And then you start thinking about what they have. This might be one of the best defensive fronts in the history of the NFL.
Well,
they're already in that conversation based on what they did last year.
I'm interested today to see exactly, even though we don't have a high pick, it's not like we sitting here and we just scrapping it, like we just taking our time and doing nothing, tiddlywinks.
Right.
What are we going to do today?
Yeah, before